Alright, I'm going to do some kind of tips and tricks and address a couple things that I was having a conversation with about earlier. Um, so, yeah, this is just kind of some cool stuff that I use a lot, and I wish I knew it a long time ago when I first started. So I figured I'd just kind of share some of it. It's a collection of scripts that things that I've written, and other things that I've just picked up, little scripts here and there, and yeah, that kind of stuff. So, first one is really cool. It's this script called HJ isolate display, and one thing that'll happen is you'll have like a bunch of objects, and they'll be overlapping or whatever, and sometimes things are in the way, and it's pretty sweet. You basically just select an object and you hit the tilde, and it will just basically isolate that one selection. One thing that unfortunately it doesn't do is it doesn't work on sub-objects, so it's not going to isolate just like a face or whatever. And I'll link up all these scripts and stuff. And that one is cool because it'll kind of built into the script itself. It'll automatically assign itself to the hotkey, and it kind of has instructions and stuff. That's the first one. That's cool. Another one is this reset pivot. It's another script that I came across a long time ago. And we were having a conversation earlier. You have you move an object, maybe you freeze the transformations. So now when you put it to 0, it doesn't go back to the beginning, it doesn't go back to the origin. But okay, so there's a script called reset pivot, and I'll link that up, and then it resets it, and then bam, you can just move it back. That's pretty sweet. One thing that you'll notice, this is something that I came across, you'd have things in a weird position, and then you've reset it, or you've done it by manipulating the verts, and now your sort of orient is all screwed up. So at that point you can reset it, but when you go back, you're at a weird sort of angle or whatever. So there's another script that I will include, and basically I have this one set up as a hotkey, and you fire it off, and you select a face, and then you select a face, and then it'll orient the object pivot to the face. So at that point you can kind of get back to the right area or whatever. And that's also super useful. Another one, you have two objects, and for whatever reason, can't think of the specific example, but I just want to use this pivot. I want to align the pivot of the one to the other, and it's another short little script, and I've also set this one up so that it's just set it up to a hotkey. And see, now they're both the same pivot. Simple stuff. I was going to quickly try to show how you set up a script to a hotkey. That's going to be hotkey editor. And what you do, it's this down here is so what you want to do is create a new one, and you fill out this stuff, you call it whatever. I'll go ahead and set up one of these pivot ones I just showed, like the one that is select, what was it? Okay, let's say copy pivot. So copy pivot. I'll put 2 because I already have this. Doesn't, oh, I'll put this polygons. And this particular one is mel. Leave it as mel. Put the script in there. I pasted this from a little notepad I had here on the side. Accept it. Save it. And then you can do control, set up a hotkey or whatever. What do I have? I have control shift C, I believe. Query. Yeah. So I just reassigned it to the same thing. Save. Yeah, and it always warns you that it may not work, but in my experience, it pretty much always works. Let's see. That's, oh, I used the wrong command. This is another one I was going to show, which basically will, you know, anyways, the point is demonstrated. I pasted the wrong script in there. But what this script does is it just zeroes the pivot. So, you know, you have your transformations here. It's not going to move the object. It's just going to move the pivot back to the origin. And so that's this zero pivot. Like that, you know, moves the pivot. That's really super useful. Another one that I really like is this. So you have edge loops. It's kind of unfortunate this isn't in there in some default way. This one is called separate edge by selection. And yeah, you know, so you select an edge loop and you fire it off, and then you have 2 pieces. You know, I mean, you can always, you know, do extract or whatever, but you know, sometimes it makes, this is kind of like a better thing. That's kind of what you want to do. Let's see what else. Blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, here's another one that I like a lot. Is like a cylinder. I need a cylinder, and I'll put like a lot of subdivisions. Yeah. So this is something you know, sometimes I end up with these meshes that I bring in from ZBrush that have a lot of, you know, extra geometry. I'm trying to clean it up or something, from like the remesher tool, and this is really cool. So you select an edge ring and you run it, and basically it'll select every other edge ring instead of just the, you know, it's simple enough to select the same ones or whatever. Anyways, okay, so there's that. That's a super cool one. And some other things are like this little. There's another little one I use a lot when I'm doing like character stuff. I'll do a lot of sort of symmetrical type modeling. You know, modeling using symmetry. And I don't think there's, you know, best of my knowledge, there's not really a really super great way to handle this. But the best thing that I found to do is I'll use this this mirror. What is it? Yeah, and the weird thing is that a lot of oh, what the fuck? instance.
Yeah.
A lot of commands won't work. There's like some kind of built-in symmetry, but it won't. A lot of things, a lot of the operations don't seem to work on both sides. If you do it this way, pretty much anything you do to one side will be copied over to the other side, and it's mainly for like just visualization purposes. What you're gonna want to do when you're done is actually mirror it, do like a proper mirror, which will weld it and everything. So like what I'll end up doing is I'll work on the object until I get to the point that where I'm happy or whatever, and then I'll actually do run this other command, mirror geo, and it'll automatically weld it and everything, and then that's kind of like, where I really want to be. I'm going to include all this stuff, and I have some other video ideas for some more kind of useful tips and stuff, and I'll update you guys with that. Thanks.